I love Oblivion, and we all know the remaster's coming out, so I decided I would make a video doing something I've wanted to do for a while and see just how much gold you can make in one day in Oblivion. So, starting a new character, listen to Patrick Stewart yap a little bit, but who really cares? I'm just kidding, I love this cutscene and I can't wait to see it in HD tomorrow. And then just sort of turn your mind off as you watch the rest of the intro cinematic, except for the most important part. That is, of course, everyone's favorite Elder Scrolls character, this guard over here who is just freakishly tall. If you take a closer look at him, he's enormous. Anyways, we're going to move on to character creation. Of course, this is Oblivion, which means it has the greatest character creator of all time, just because of how disgusting you can make your creatures look, and that's certainly what we're going to do. Now, as I create my little cretin, the first cretin of this video, I will discuss the rules. The rules are that you're allowed to use glitches, but no console commands. It has to be done in 48 minutes, as every day in Oblivion is effectively 48 minutes in real time. The timer does not stop in menus or dialogue, and no glitches are off the table, as I already said. So, on to what we were doing. I had to update the name to make it accurate from Speedy McDollar Man to Speedy McDollar Mer. I give him, of course, the classic mohawk haircut, make the hair a very fun color. That is, of course, going to be a blue, so we can have a little bit of Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan action going on, mixing in a little green to get it more accurate. And then, as is tradition with any Oblivion character, you have to go into the face menu and just slam these sliders around until you get something funny looking, which I did pretty easily. Now you can see we're playing a Bosmer, and before you say movement speed is actually determined by height, so Altmer would be the faster. Not actually, just given the fact that Bosmer have just higher speed and agility stats, they just move faster than Altmer do at the beginning of the game, which is of course all we're going to be doing. One extra rule I forgot to mention is no waiting, sleeping, or fast traveling, as that would of course increment the timer. And aside from that, as soon as you get control of your character, which as you can see here, he is a beautiful thing, I'm not really sure what to call him. As soon as you get control of your character, the timer starts. This was my first time using split cut, or whatever it's called, so you'll see here I had to go into the settings to get it working. It's also why the game is in windowed mode, because I didn't know how to get to draw it over full screen. Of course, the first thing we do is go to the gate and listen to a Dark Elf give us some classic Elder Scrolls racism. This guy is a D1 hater, so I do always like to hear him yap off to whatever race you are. Can't wait to see him in HD as well. And then I just grab the random things from around yourself. They're not worth anything, and they just slow you down, so I would not recommend doing this if you do this run yourself. Taking a look at all my stats, you can see 50 agility, 50 speed, very nice. Beast Tongue is not useful, but none of the racial benefits are really going to help us in this challenge, so it doesn't particularly matter. After Valen Dreth gives his little pointless monologue, just go wait over by the window, as the worthless blades escort the Emperor. Because they are abject failures, you do have to be standing in a specific location. Just to make it easier, I recommend standing right under it. Here, I thought Captain Glenroy was going to start talking to me, but it was actually, of course, Patrick Stewart, Uriel Septim. Then just go into the cave and go through the tutorial as usual. Pretty standard. I did have the difficulty lower here, just from a previous run I was doing, but I would recommend just playing on normal, though if you wanted to play on easy just for optimization's sake, of course, do that. Then jump to this door, and of course you do need to have some chit-chat after being in prison for your entire life, so wait for the Mythic Dawn agent to come through here and have a little chat with him, because they're surprisingly polite.
What can I do for you? Those famous for good deeds may receive blessings of intelligence and magicka when they visit...
Would you believe it? The Mythic Dawn are actually followers of Julianos. Moving on, the Mythic Dawn are going to attack, but the idiots are useful for once and do manage to take them out, except for Captain Reno, who just gets absolutely bodied. Take her steel sword and carve through the rest of the Mythic Dawn with amazing ease, because we're on baby difficulty. Look around for Captain Reno's sword after this and be confused as to why you can't find it, but it's not important, because it's just a little bit of extra dialogue from Boris if you do bring it back. And though I may love Boris, who cares if he says something about a character who had 2 lines of dialogue before dying? Moving on from here is pretty simple. We're just going to start carving through the first room of the dungeon, killing the rats, which is stupid easy because we're on baby difficulty still. Then trying to open this chest with no lockpicks, very integral to the run, and then just grab the lockpicks from the corpse over here. I took the bow and arrow despite not using it. It's just a little too sluggish for a run like this. Of course, once I got the lockpicks, I just took my clothes off to maybe move a little bit faster, and then just auto-attempted through this baby lockpick, because it was been a while since I had last done the lockpicking minigame. Then just carve through the last of the rats, make the goblin do a sick dance, and take the key and the couple of scrolls for the scroll duping glitch, which we'll be using to maximize profits. I do plan to do a glitchless run in the future of this, but for now I just wanted to get the big numbers. Of course, just carve through the rest of here and have fun doing it. You've been here before. Meeting up with the Emperor and his lackeys again, it's pretty much more of the same. More Mythic Dawn to run in circles in these little areas. Carve them up as best you can. Since we're still on baby difficulty, there's really nothing stopping us, though if you're playing on normal, be a little bit more cautious. Thankfully, this is where we're going to get our birth sign, and while I considered taking either the Thief or the Steed for just a lot of extra movement speed, I realized we would need paralysis, and the quickest way to do that is simply by taking the Lover sign. The Lover, of course, gives you a once per day 10-second paralysis, which is all we need, and despite the fact it gives no bonus stats, this is still pretty darn handy to have with us. After listening to Patrick Stewart yap a little bit more, we are ready to move through the rest of the tutorial dungeon, which is just fighting more Mythic Dawn, of course. Usually the blades will actually do something for once and keep the Mythic Dawn out of here, so just chill around with Uriel Septim for a minute until he starts talking to you. If you try to talk to him early, he just says that. So wait a minute, get a front row seat to his assassination, and then just wait for him to turn around.
I can go no further.
He'll give you the Amulet of Kings, which of course is irrelevant to this run, as we just want money. We're a money-grubbing little fella, so it's just time to watch the Uriel Septim get bodied by a single dagger swing, because I guess he's just not built like that. This Mythic Dawn guy goes down pretty fast, though a little longer than the others, funnily enough. And then Boris runs off for a second, only to run right back. We are going to make a custom class, so just ignore what Boris says, as always. He's going to ask you some questions here, but to make a custom class, we are simply going to, of course, use custom class. I did make a mistake and accidentally stop the timer, but just keep it, just basically we're at 13 minutes now. Pick Stealth as the specialization, Speed, and then pretty much anything else. I took Personality, though it didn't really matter on this run. Speed's the one that actually matters, and the other is completely up to you. Though, of course, since we're not really going to be doing that much except getting money, Personality can be useful. For the main skills, Acrobatics, Athletics, Mercantile, and Speechcraft are really the only ones that matter, though you could argue that Speechcraft is actually a detriment, so you might want to leave that at home, and the rest are completely irrelevant. If you are going to use this character for anything else, I would recommend bringing along some more thought-out skills than just clicking on random stuff, because I took way too long for no real reason. Boris will then give us the ability to name our class, which I simply named Moneymake, because there wasn't enough room for Moneymaker. The Moneymake class is pretty unimpressive and unoriginal, but who cares? We simply want it. Boris will act surprised for some reason, give us the key, go through here, then check the difficulty, realize you're still playing on baby difficulty from your rage during a max difficulty playthrough, and then go back to just playing through normally. Exit the sewers, and then immediately turn right around, run up the hill to the Imperial District. The Imperial City, of course. We need to get to the Talos District, and I'm sure many of you who know more about this game already know what we're going to do. Here you can see my impressive Bosmer speed that definitely is not sped up at all, and is just 100% how Bosmer move naturally. I also get to admire my wonderfully pink glowing skin as I run and do some sick parkour off these rocks, which is very important to get into the city. They don't let anyone who's lame into Coolsville. Once you get inside, there's really not much to do except get to the Talos District, which is pretty simple. I did, for some reason, talk to this homeless person that they call stupid, and gave her a coin for no reason. Moving past that, I got a little bit lost as it has been a long time since I've been to the Talos district, because why would you ever go there? There's literally nothing of value. You can see me running around, paying some respects to Tiber Septim, and then getting a little bit lost and checking my map as I desperately try and make it to a part of the Imperial City I pretty much never go to. Technically, you could fast travel, but that would sort of go against the spirit of the challenge, especially in the first 48 minutes. I get unreasonably mad looking at the Royal Watch because I can't have his armor, and then head off into the Talos district. Now, I've never done this glitch before, so I had to look for Dorian's house, which took an embarrassingly long time because I looked at every other door before his. Dorian is just a guy who lives in his house permanently, and there's a funny thing with his inventory which allows you to get effectively infinite gold, though I did make a critical error in my attempt to do this. Here we can see I'm checking the last few doors, and of course the last one I check is going to be Dorian's, which is the one we need. His house is always unlocked, so you don't even need to break the law to get inside, which is very handy to avoid getting caught. Dorian will walk through the door here, open your inventory, go to your special ability, the Lover's Kiss, and then save, just in case, for some reason now and never earlier, smack him with the ability, open his inventory, and take his gold. Now I'm very confused, because his gold is supposed to always refill, and from what I remember, there's supposed to be 1,000 gold in there, but there was only 10, and I immediately lost it. I have no mods installed, so I'm not sure why this would be, so I decided to see if I needed to kill him. This fight took a surprisingly long time, probably because I'm completely naked and I'm using a horrible melee weapon. I was able to body block him from getting the guards, so with a couple of potions and about a minute of swinging later, he fell down. Lucian Lachance was apparently watching that and for some reason liked my performance, and the glitch still wasn't working. So I reloaded a save and I had to do a little bit of research because I realized, I must be doing something wrong. Realizing I had no earlier saves, I was like, darn, I'll have to make a new character, just because this one had really just wasted a huge amount of time, given the fact we were nearly halfway through our time, and we had barely any gold to speak of. So I looked it up, and it turns out you have to put gold into his inventory as such through the persuasion minigame, and then anything you bribe him with can be pulled out of his pockets and infinitely respawn itself. This is pretty handy, as it lets you get in theory, infinite amount of gold with each click, but since I suck at the persuasion minigame, this is likely going to be a little bit of a grueling process to get to any really impressive amount of money. Moving on from that, though, it's just basically the exact same thing, though I did get to fool around in the character creator, making the son of Speedy McMoneymer, if I'm not mistaken, that was his name. So we do just that and move back to the character creator. Here you can see the glitch working, and now that I knew how it worked, I did remake my character, right after Dorian fell over like a plank. Realizing that, I simply watch him get up for no particular reason. He's pretty angry, I suppose fittingly enough, since we just pulled infinite money out of him, and exit to main menu to go back to the character creator with a new character, of course. I don't really need to go over this again. Male Bosmer, and then just kind of make whatever you want. This is, of course, Money Speedmer the Second. Really struggled with that. Anyways, make a funny looking thing. As long as it's a Bosmer, you'll be fine. I give him the weird Jimmy Neutron haircut. Make him look just really, really weird with some bright red hair. And I decided his skin was a little too pale, so I decided to give him this weird green skin that makes him look kind of like an Argonian. But aside from that, that was just about it. You can see me messing around with the sliders here, seeing what else I can do with it. He just looks really, really weird, and definitely a Bosmer would not be my first guess as to what this was supposed to be, if not for the elven ears, of course. With that, I did for some reason wait as soon as I got out of this, and while that technically invalidates the challenge, I didn't really care, so I simply just continued with it, as it did not advance the dialogue with Vale and Dreth at all. You can see here, I decided, maybe I can skip this dialogue, and then we're just back. Talk to Uriel Septim again, but spam through his dialogue as we've already been here. And now that we're back on medium difficulty, things are a little bit slower, but not that much worse, because again, this is still the tutorial area. Follow the idiots and Uriel Septim into the dungeon, and we're going to fight the Mythic Dawn yet again. The build is going to be almost exactly the same, though the skills we chose were slightly different, simply because I forgot what the other skills I picked were beyond acrobatics and athletics. And you can see me doing the same little trick to go talk to the Mythic Dawn again. This is, of course, very important because the Mythic Dawn need friends too, despite being a murderous assassin cult. Though despite my best efforts, this guy isn't quite as charismatic as his forefather, because the Mythic Dawn agent simply runs right past me. For that, I give him a slug on the ass and punch him in the spine till he falls over. The classic strat, Reno, of course, goes down in one hit. I continue to beat the piss out of these Mythic Dawn agents, and then look at my beautiful character in third person. I was kind of forgetting my buttons because I've been playing Skyrim, and the buttons are a little bit different there. I, for some reason, took the torch and not the steel sword, and then got Reno's sword. I put on Reno's katana because it's technically slightly better, but just a very minor improvement. And I do make a critical error in this little run-through in not taking the armor for some reason. You can see I reloaded a save, but again, I didn't change anything. I just had to redo the lockpicking minigame. I ran through here without fighting any of the rats, and then that came to a head in the Great Rat Battle of the Third Era, where I believe 8 or so rats were all attacking me at the same time, and they actually nearly put me down, again, because I forgot to bring any armor. Thanks to my disease resistance, I didn't get anything, so it wasn't the end of the world, but they did nearly kill me, which is something I haven't said since I was doing my max difficulty run, where they would literally one-shot you if you weren't wearing armor. I love Oblivion's max difficulty, by the way. Here you can see the massive pile of dead rats, and beyond that, it's pretty standard. The goblins don't have enough numbers to really make up any sort of defense against you, though I did get turned around like an idiot after fighting the goblins, so you can see me wasting a minute or so running around in circles. Carve through the goblins and their little loot area pretty easily, push the logs, run past them. You know, you get the gist. You've done this tutorial a million times before, I'm sure. With that, we meet back up with the idiots and the Emperor, and it's more the same of hunting more Mythic Dawn. Get the lover sign.
The signs.
Yes, Uriel Septim, the signs are very, very interesting.
No.
Anyways, with that, it's time to continue this little escapade, and we just go through this dungeon again, fighting more Mythic Dawn alongside the Emperor's most loyal idiots. Though I will admit that this guy with the mace did nearly put me down. The Mythic Dawn were putting up a lot more of a fight. Again, I had no armor because I'm an idiot. But that's not really the end of the world. Again, just wait for the blades to catch up, and they dismantle them easily enough. Stand around for a minute, wonder why they aren't moving, and then realizing Glenroy didn't do his little dialogue to get the group to move forward. Then again, watch the Emperor get assassinated, and move on to making your custom class. Pretty much. These weird guys with the hoods that, for some reason, didn't summon their conjured armor came in to fight me. Uriel interrupted our little duel, so I was a little confused and worried I was going to be killed in the cutscene when the Mythic Dawn just dropped dead for no apparent reason. He gets stabbed, then Boris comes in, helps me clear out the assassin, and then runs off like a clueless idiot for some reason. Anyways, after putting him down, we listen to Boris complain about how bad the blades are at their job, and then he gives us, of course, our custom class, which is the same thing, just with slightly different secondary perks because I forgot what I picked the first time. This is really nothing special, though I did name it Money this time because I figured that was a little bit more fitting and it actually made a little bit more sense. And then again, just clear out the rest of the dungeon, which is pretty simple. This took a lot longer given the medium difficulty, but really nothing that much more difficult. Run past this rat like a baller, for some reason try and open this gate for no particular reason, and then exit the sewers. The difference we're going to do here is we're going to raid out the Aelid ruins across the water, Vilverin, a place I always go to in my playthroughs, and I can't wait to see in HD. Simply swim across the water, thanks to our Bosmer speed. Oh my god, these pop-ups are annoying. We can pretty easily avoid the slaughterfish, and all the better for it, because slaughterfish are weirdly powerful. Moving on, there's a few bandits outside, and they're going to be our ticket to making this run possible. We simply have to get the armor off of the one wielding the axe, and that issue of having no armor rears its ugly head again, as these guys actually do put up a bit of a threat. Not as much as the Mythic Dawn, but they did require me to use some potions. After I defeat this one, of course I'm just going to take its armor, and then deal with the archer and head inside. Despite the fact I hadn't cleared out Vilverin in quite some time... Vilverin? Pretty sure that's right. It was pretty simple once I got this armor. With the Cure Wounds magic everyone starts with, it's easy enough to just run past most of the enemies. I wanted to defeat these guys just so they wouldn't be bothering me when I run out of the dungeon, and this Bosmer was easy enough. I of course take the garlic from the tent because for some reason I have this long-standing belief that you can randomly become a vampire when you sleep unless you're holding garlic. I'm pretty sure that was just some sort of weird hallucination I had, and then I start running through the dungeon. Avoiding pretty much everyone, I was able to remember most of the puzzles. The button room, I just smashed every button until I found the one with the key in it, despite the fact that it's just the top right one. Thankfully, the zombies and skeletons got rid of the bandits off my tail, which was pretty handy. And this was honestly a pretty flawless run-through, aside from a couple hiccups when it came to the early area. I dodged this trap like a baller, and just make sure to get the Varla Stone. That's all we're here for, as the Varla Stone is one of the most valuable items in the game that's easily accessible this quickly. Being worth 1,000 gold each, they're fairly valuable, especially once you start duping them. Use your superior Bosmer agility to not take any fall damage, and juke these skeletons. You will have to fight the Necromancer, or Yalpert, or whatever the hell his name is, before you can get out of here, but it's really not the end of the world. He has no armor, and though he does have a dagger, which means he will turn you into sashimi pretty damn fast if you aren't careful, it's not that hard to deal with him given his lack of armor, even though we are wielding a very weak weapon. Now, despite my good disease resistance being a Bosmer, I still wanted to take it slow with the blades as to not get stuck with something like Rock Joint. So, simply wait, and then run through. No whirlwind sprint here, unfortunately. Then you come to this room. I, for some reason, just tried to avoid him, forgetting that the door up ahead is locked behind a very hard lock, so I would need to come back for the key. It's just right in front of that chest I just looted, so make sure to grab that when you're doing this on your own runs, unless you're, of course, just going to do it straight. Jalbert ends up cutting me out quite good, but given he's using an iron dagger, his huge attack speed doesn't really matter. Jalbert defeated, you can take a couple of his things, though there's really nothing valuable. Simply grab the key from in front of that chest and get out of Vilverin. There's also some extra septums and lockpicks, which, while not particularly useful, as we've lockpicked everything we're going to for this run, could be useful if you simply are getting to town late or something like that, and you need to go somewhere else. I have to admit I was pretty proud of that run through Vilverin, and it made me feel like a bit of a speedrunner with how fast I was able to do it. Usually this dungeon doesn't take very long, being the starter dungeon, but still, it was nice to just blitz through it that quickly. I usually never played Bosmer, but I really enjoy how fast they are naturally, so maybe I will play a Bosmer in my remaster playthrough. Then I use my natural Bosmer ability of hyperspeed to get up to the Imperial City. Yes, again, once you hit the load game zone. I looked through my inventory a few times. Can't really remember why. I think I thought I was more encumbered than I was, though I do remember taking my clothes off just to move a little bit faster. Granted, we were making great time. We still had 24 minutes to go, and we had everything we needed to make an insane amount of Varla Stones and money. So you're going to want to head into the Market District, head over to the right, and go to the Mystic Emporium, which is a classic store. Then you're just going to want to check out what this high elf has for sale, and go to his scroll section. I did persuade him a little bit here just to get slightly better prices, I think. It was a small amount of gold.
Get you something.
Then go to the shopping interface and make sure to go and find his cheapest scroll that you can get 2 of. These Starlight ones were quite cheap, so I decided to just grab 2 of those. Now, you have everything you need to have infinite money. Simply go into your inventory, go to the scroll you just bought, and click on it twice, and then drop an item. Then forget what the button to drop was, so you have to look it up. It's shift-click, by the way. And once you do that, you'll get as many of the items as you duped, though there is some sort of math thing going on with the difference between the 2 items, indicating how many you're going to drop. It can be a little bit finicky, but once you get the ball rolling, you'll have infinite things in no time. As you can see, I was struggling to duplicate more here, simply because there was only a 1 difference, so it seems to bug out when there's a very small difference between the 2 stacks. So I simply moved on to duplicating Chameleon to just get the ball rolling. And once you do, it's a very easy glitch to just get out of hand with and have thousands of scrolls in under a minute. Here I'm going to speed up the footage so you can see me going through and just duplicating a bunch of these. We're pretty much done with the run at this point. We could just spend all of our time here in Calandils and sell an obscene amount of items, but we are going to do the Damien glitch to get far more money, unless there is a way to fortify your mercantile in just 1 day. I can't imagine a better way to get value, because if you could just keep selling items for 1,000 gold. Here you can see I have 256 flashbolts, and I simply dupe that into Varla Stones. I don't think it actually duped the exact amount, but who cares? With that, you just want to sell these, At first I was selling them one at a time, then I realized I could sell them two at a time, and I could also haggle for a slightly better price, which I would recommend doing just so you're getting the max amount of money for each. I was basically getting 1,000 per sale once I started selling two of them and haggled for a better price. I do this in basically all my runs just because it allows me to get an insane amount of gold. Not that gold's particularly hard to get in Oblivion, but it's just very fun. I really enjoy the duplicating glitch because you can make some really funny things happen with it, which we will do once we finish our timer. We still have about 22 minutes left, so we are in great time. Sorry, 21 minutes left. Once you sell all of these, you're pretty much in the clear. All you have to do is just get down to a low amount. You could repeat this process, but I would still recommend going to Damien. Go to Green Emperor Way, get a little bit lost, and then just head straight back to Damien's house, which you should know where it is by now. Of course, once you actually enter the Talos Plaza district and not the Arbitorium, like a fool. I talked to this old guy for some reason, and then move on to simply go and visit our favorite Red Guard friend, Dorian. Sorry, I was calling him Damien. Dorian. Whatever, who cares? He's an infinite piggy bank, and that's all that matters. I open this up, and I look at his facial expressions to see which he hates. When he sneers, he hates it.
Don't talk such rot.
And try and just drain his disposition to me. I don't really know how to do this very efficiently, so this run is definitely not optimized, and people could do this in a much better way than I can.
I can't argue
but,
with that.
Everyone's got to start somewhere. Simply do this over and over again, and then bribe him. Bribe him as much as you can until you get to max disposition. At which point you'll be pretty much unable to actually get his disposition low enough to bribe him again. Here you can see me just speeding through it. I was able to get about 200 gold into his inventory. From there, we pretty much just repeat what we did last time, where we used the paralysis spell. Here you can see me just saving, whipping out the Lover's Kiss, and then you just smack him on the lips with that, give him a big mwah, and then he falls over. Then simply open him and start clicking. I did this for the remaining 16 minutes of this run. As you can see, even though it's only 207 gold, this can still rack up very, very quickly. Now, I am not going to talk for the entire time I was doing this. I ended up putting on some YouTube to make it less monotonous, but let's just say by the end of this, you could probably buy every house in the Imperial City, as well as the entire East Trading Company. In general, you will be completely set for life. I cannot imagine there's enough things in the world to buy with how much money you get in such a short amount of time with this glitch. You can see me trying to find ways to get more money into his inventory, but I couldn't. So, again, I just put on my favorite YouTube videos and got to clicking. Now technically, time is stopped in this menu, but I kept the timer running simply because I felt more in the spirit of the challenge, because if it didn't, I could simply just get infinite money by never exiting this menu and hit the floating point integer limit. Here you can see right as the timer hits 48 minutes, one day has technically passed, even though in-game none have. It's only been about 12 in-game hours, and I have 806,476 septims. Dorian will be very upset and try and kill you, but again, he's really not much of a threat, despite the fact that he actually does hit decently hard. I simply kite him around for a little bit trying to get him to yield, but he simply doesn't. Realizing I won't get him to yield, I simply run out, and using that spell, the Lover's Kiss, is technically attack on someone, so heal up a little bit. And by the time I head out, there's already an Imperial Guard Watch guy there.
It's all over, lawbreaker.
Music to my ears. Since it's 40 gold, I just pay the fine as Dorian smiles at us ominously from behind.
What is it, citizen?
I look at the watch and get a little bit angry again. And then to see just how much time has passed, we can see it really has only been about 12 in-game hours. We are the richest man in Tamriel now, so I decided to go repay Dorian the favor. We're going to use some very fun scrolls. Seeing he's still at max disposition, I get to duping scrolls and accidentally dupe maybe one too many. I get to about 1,000, and then I accidentally make one huge mistake. Here you can see I'm in the final stages of dupe maxing, where I'm at nearly 1,000 scrolls, which is simply inane, and I'm actually becoming over-encumbered by these things that barely weigh anything. Picking those up, I decide I suppose now's a good time to start, and accidentally drop 1,000 deeds to the Frostcrag Spire. This affront to real estate, of course, crashes the game, and I simply go back in and become a little bit lighter touch with my duping. We, of course, want to repay our good friend Dorian for giving us infinite money. I'm sure he's very upset we materialized that much from inside of him. Do a bit of duping. And by a bit, I mean an insane amount, but not as insane because we don't want to crash our games again by spawning one too many real estate documents. With that, it's simply time to give him our gift, and that is, of course, infinite Varla Stones. I dropped 2 of them, so we're just duping 1 Varla Stone instead of stacks. I'm not sure why I did this, I think it just felt a little bit more in theme. And our ultimate goal here is to simply make this house unlivable. A hellscape sort of quicksand pit filled with nothing but Varla Stones. And you'd be surprised how short of a time this takes. Simply repeat the process of duping, pick up a Varla Stone, and keep going with Starlight and Flashbolt. And you'll soon see that Dorian will become encased in an infinite supply of Varla Stones. Of course, if he wanted to, he could sell all of these and become just as rich as we are, but that would, of course, require him to be able to move, which our ultimate goal is to keep him permanently trapped inside the Varla Stone. This is one of my favorite things to do in Oblivion, just because it's really funny, making these rooms just completely filled to the brim with obscenely valuable items. Dorian's still in a good mood because he isn't completely trapped yet, and we'll know we're succeeded once Dorian starts to walk and cannot get anywhere. Still not ready yet? As you can see, Dorian is now permanently trapped in a pit of Varla Stones. I would recommend taking some of these Varla Stones because we're going to have a bit of a joyride with all the money we've just made. I tried to look at this wall to get better frames per second, but it didn't help, so I jumped across and left. We're definitely going to have a good spot of fun here, so make a save in case you actually want to do anything with this character afterwards, and head to a classic store, Rindir's Staffs.
Rindir's Staffs.
This, of course, has arguably the best staff in the game, Apotheosis, for a measly 6,000 gold. Simply buy that, go across the place to the best defense, and buy some light armor. Or heavy, I suppose, if you're more in that regard, which I am, though I think I took light armor on this special class.
The best.
Of course, being level 1, it's basically just leather and fur, but I like the look of leather more than fur, so I decide to go with that. He is missing pants and things like that. I return to Dorian and take some Varla Stones, because we're certainly going to need to be able to recharge Apotheosis, because we're about to punish the Imperial capital for ever opposing us. I'm going to let this play out so you can just listen to the glorious Oblivion voice acting. For some reason the Mythic Dawn pulled up. I'm not really sure why. Maybe they're siding with the Empire now.
Someone's been murdered! Someone's been murdered! Someone's been murdered! Man down!
Can't you settle? Help! Such fire! Someone, you there! Someone's been murdered! By what's going on? There is a sight! Such fire! By the time! Can't you settle? You there! Man down! Man down! By the God! You there! Stop! Help! Man down! Man
Now, even despite the fact that I just murdered probably a dozen people, the guards wouldn't attack me until the guards were able to talk to me, in which case they all finally whipped out their weapons. Of course, this is only one part of the Imperial City. There's many more people that need to pay for the transgressions of the Imperial Watch for ever arresting us. Oh, you can see them there, but we're going to leave that be for now. Now refill on Varla stones and simply clear out the rest of the Imperial City of most of its inhabitants, including probably about 50 guardsmen. I continued doing this purely for fun, just because of how powerful Apotheosis is, resisting arrest anytime I needed to, until I ran out of Varla stones. Which, of course, was probably after about 100 or so people had finally laid dead at my feet. Once I did all this and realized I was out of Varla stones, there was a couple fierce fighters still chasing me around, but I simply gave them the runaround with no weapons and armor, until I could finally talk to a guard. Which did take a little bit of time, as you can see here.
Stop!
But I had a bounty of 50,000 gold, which I could easily pay, but they simply didn't give me the option to. So I decided to go to jail, and that is all she wrote. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love to see you guys do runs on this kind of challenge as well, on this version or the remaster, glitches or glitchless. I think this was really fun, and I'd love to do more videos like this. If you enjoyed it, make sure to let me know down below. And make sure to talk to the guards after you leave, because they will permanently hate you.